Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reference Point. I'm your host, Dave Cokerhook. This evening, we're going to be talking about something that I think is very crucial to the economy. We hear a lot on the news about the need to increase the economic activity, the increase job growth, etc. And we're told fairly regularly that it is small business that is the primary engine for making this job growth happen. And so this evening, I am very pleased to have representatives from three organizations here out of the Northern California area to talk specifically about that. I'm going to introduce them, and then we're going to get into some very interesting discussions. And immediately to my left is Sharon Miller, who's the CEO of Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center in San Francisco. And you have several other locations, do you not?
Yes, we do. We have a location very close to here on the Mid-Peninsula in East Palo Alto. We have a location south of Market in San Francisco, in Bayview Hunters Point in San Francisco, and we'll be opening a center in San Rafael in Marin in the spring.
Oh, fantastic. And we're going to get into more discussion, Sharon, about exactly what the Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center, that doesn't roll off the tongue so easy.
No, it's a little hard.
The Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center actually does. But sitting next to you is Claudia Vick, who's with the California Association of Micro Enterprise Opportunity, affectionately referred to as Cameo.
Yeah, we can just keep it a Cameo.
Keep it a Cameo.
Yeah.
And Cameo is a statewide organization, is that correct?
Yes, we're the statewide network of micro enterprise, microfinance groups, just like these two star women on either side of me. We have 85 members that served 20,000 businesses last year.
Fantastic.
Many of them startups, and those startups created 42,000 jobs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're all here within the state of California.
Yes.
Now, the work that Cameo does is not, there are similar organizations around the country, are there not?
Yes, we're considered a state micro enterprise association, SMA, and we are like a trade association. I say a trade association with benefits because we work hard to raise funding so that our members can expand and serve more entrepreneurs and contribute to the economy.
Fantastic. And then immediately to your left is Emily Gassner, who's the executive director of an organization called Working Solutions. And as I understand it, Working Solutions has part of its mission is to help small businesses find financial resources for being able to make things work for them. Is that correct?
That's true, actually. We have our own private loan fund of $3 million that we make loans of $5,000 up to $50,000 to help startups and existing businesses.
So that's what people would refer to as micro-lending then.
Exactly.
Which I guess, when you look at it from the standpoint of if you're getting a small business started, whether it's you can start a sandwich shop or you're going to have an auto body shop or whatever, it doesn't take hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to get some of that stuff off the ground. But you need a little bit of something to help you get going in order to make it work. So that's where you guys come in, right?
Exactly. So we work with these businesses that maybe they want to start a cafe and they just need $25,000 and they're able to create 10 new jobs as a result of that. And working specifically with the 9 Bay Area counties here in Northern California, San Francisco.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk about this area about employment and start that off, and then we can have each of you kind of chime into where things fit in, how your organizations fit into this, because unemployment continues to be something that's a problem. It's pretty high, and the projections are that it's not going to go way down anytime soon. And, we have what I've observed in the last couple of years is a lot of individuals who were working for a major corporation who are no longer there and couldn't find another position of that same type somewhere else, have looked to start a business, maybe leveraging their skills somehow to start a business. And another thing that I understand too is that we have a lot of entrepreneurial-minded immigrants to the U.S. who are looking at trying to start something for themselves too, and this is the pool that we believe is going to be able to help us really make a dent in this unemployment thing. Is that correct?
Yes. For example, we have estimated that 5% of the unemployed in California could be successfully self-employed. And so that would be 120,000 people that are potential entrepreneurs that have that energy, especially in California. It's something we treasure. So let's say just half, 60,000, got help starting a business. We know that from our experience of doing this for over 20 years, that 80%, 4 out of 5 will succeed if they get business assistance services, such as from the Renaissance Center.
4 out of 5 will succeed.
Yeah, so that would be 48,000 people. and that over 3 to 5 years, on average, these very small businesses, micro businesses, will create 2 jobs in addition to the owner. So that's almost 150,000 jobs over a 3 to 5 year period.
Well, that's a phenomenal statistic,
Yeah.
because they tell you when you start a small business, your chances are like 1 in 10 maybe of making it.
They are. They are. However, with organizations like ours, we're providing the technical assistance and the support that the businesses need. So we help the individuals as they come in to think through their whole business idea and get the resources they need along the way. It's a very different process than just deciding, I'm going to start my own business, I know how to do this, and launching it. We really help people to plan, to analyze, and to be prepared, and then to get support every step of the way. So that makes a real difference.
So talk a little bit more about that, Sharon, from the standpoint of what the Renaissance Center does, because it's like I'm trying to understand exactly what it is that you are assisting the would-be entrepreneur to be able to do.
Sure, we offer a full range of services that really meet the whole life cycle of a small business. So on one end, we're helping people to understand what does it take to be an entrepreneur. You know, just because you want to work for yourself doesn't always mean that's a good fit. Just because you have a business idea doesn't always mean it's the right business idea in the right place at the right time. So we help people to determine the feasibility of themselves as individuals to be an entrepreneur, and then of their idea. The next step, and of course people can enter at any point, is helping people to write a business plan. So that we take you through the whole process of what's your marketing, what's your finance, what's your operational. How do you plan for this so that you really are prepared? You get that full training.
That's an interesting element, because I've worked for a lot of corporations over my career, and they have these these departments within it that focus on these sort of things. You know, the marketing plan, strategies, the sales plan and strategies, and all the other things that they do. But if you're going to start up a small business as a single individual entrepreneur, you need to touch on all of those things. And most people have never had the need to think through those elements.
Absolutely.
So now, where does it go from now? So we've done that, and we determined, hey, look, I got an idea. This is really very good, but I haven't got the financial resources to be able to do something. So how does that then come together?
Well, we would then, if this person, came through Renaissance, we would then work with that person, determine what their needs were, and then package their loan, and we would turn it over to Emily's organization. And Emily.
So when you say package the loan, you mean help them fill out all the necessary documentation that they would need in order to bring it to a financing entity?
Most of our clients can't walk into a bank and get a loan.
Right.
And they never could. It's not necessarily just these times right now, but you have a one-page loan application, and if you meet all the criteria, you could get a loan. Our clients don't fit that need, so usually we have to provide much more information to make a good case for that loan. So that could be 3 years tax return, personal or business tax return. It could be all your financial projections, a business plan, a number of items that will help the lender to be secure in making the loan.
Okay. So Emily, I want to take this over to you now, because I have some background in the area of working with financial institutions and banks especially, and the criteria for lending is pretty stringent. And so as a nonprofit organization, do you have more leeway than a traditional bank might have to be able to help a startup company?
We definitely do. So we work specifically with businesses that are unable to get a loan from a bank because the lending requirements are much too restrictive. So for one thing, we don't have a collateral requirement. For us, the human potential is actually what we see as the collateral for the loan. We also look at things like if a business owner has had less than perfect credit, we'll also consider kind of what's happened in their life and things that have happened previously, and have they made amends and try to be current now. So we're much more flexible in a lot of different aspects of the loan underwriting. Through that process, we really want to create a relationship with that business owner so that we can see that they have done the planning, because for us, the planning is so crucial to the success of any business. So we want to get to that business before they've already signed their lease and gotten too far ahead of themselves. So we take a look at the business plan and ask them questions and try to really understand who's their competition, what's their marketing strategy, what's their pricing strategy, who's their target customer, things like that. And then we, through the application process, try to understand both and educate the business owner about their personal finances as well as their business finances to see, is this really a good option for them right now at this point in their lives. What we do at Working Solutions is after we make a loan to a business, we provide 5 years of very intensive coaching and mentoring and support for the business.
So you're involved with that business, not so. And I'm glad to hear that, because that was a question that was coming to mind. Because you know, one of the important things, if you're going to if you're going to lend money to somebody, you need to know that they are going to be able to pay it back, or that they're not just going to walk away from the situation and leave you hanging high and dry.
Exactly.
So it sounds like you stay very much involved, and I'm guessing you guys do as well.
Yes.
So okay, well, and that support network I can see should help. So what's the success ratio?
So we've lent $2.1 million to date, and we have a 97% repayment rate.
97% repayment rate. Fantastic.
And the businesses are really committed to repaying. And if they ever hit a rough spot, they let us know, and we try to work something out with them. So we really want them to be successful, and we want them to be creating jobs in their communities, creating thriving neighborhoods, going into empty storefronts and filling those and having new businesses there. And so we want to set them up for success.
Right.
And part of that for us is, rather than just having a transactional relationship of making a loan and then receiving their payment every month, for us it's really every 3 months we go out and we have a staff member that sits down and goes through the financials with each business. We connect them with mentors on specific projects, whether it's a sales plan or they need help with some aspects of their financial statements. We also do twice a year a pro bono legal clinic to get the legal services of pro bono corporate attorneys for each one of the businesses. And so for us, it's really about connecting the businesses on an ongoing basis to the resources that they need, as well as to each other. So for the entrepreneurs, they really learn so much from each other. So when we have events like Renaissance and Working Solutions are having a gift fair next week, where the 30 businesses will be getting together to sell their wares, and they exchange
really fun.
ideas and best practices with each other. I've heard at one last year of a business saying, who's your CPA, who's your bookkeeper, how can I get that person's number?
Oh, very
So
cool.
there's so much power and knowledge that they have in
So they're beginning to
entrepreneurs.
support each other. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
just
Yeah, that's
okay,
key.
which is huge.
Well,
And
tell them
they'll-
about the incubator that you have.
Renaissance also has on site in our building on 5th Street a small business incubator. So we have 24 businesses who operate out of our building. And there's a fabulous network where individual businesses who can feel isolated working out of their homes or working in an office all by yourself get to work with each other, and they can walk out in the hallway and ask who their CPA is, but also share in their successes and share in their challenges. And they're often together problem solving, going in on projects together, looking at new ways to market their projects, and then just also getting moral support when things are down. You just have somebody who's right there rooting for you. Absolutely.
That's fantastic. So now, your two organizations tend to be focused on the greater San Francisco Bay Area, right? And Claudia, your organization is a statewide organization. So
Right.
if this show will ultimately be being aired through YouTube site, so anybody is going to be able to see this.
Right,
So
right.
somebody who may be in San Diego, or somebody who might be up in Redding or something, is still able to connect through Cameo in order to find resources in their community for this same kind of thing. Is
Yes.
that true?
We have a website that has a map of California, and on that map we have all of our members located, and you can find their URLs and go directly to them. You can also call Cameo too and find out, what might be the best fit. But mostly we refer people to the website, and then they have to do a little search to find the organization that's going to fit their needs. But the statistics that we were hearing about the default rates, or the lack of default rates from the micro lenders, is really pretty typical of our members. And the key is really good pre-loan assistance, business assistance, and post-loan assistance. And that's what the banks are not giving, and that's what people need, particularly now in this economy.
Sure. Tell me a little bit more about what it is that Cameo, I want to understand more about the activities of Cameo. And are you as part of your charter to find more groups like these two to be able to serve that marketplace, or how does that work?
Well, they find us. I mean, we have a pretty steady membership of around 85 organizations and another 15 individual consultants, so about 100 people in our membership that actually provide services to entrepreneurs. Our job is to listen to our members and do what they say. So they say, we need the resources to grow. Claudia, go find us the resources. So I go to Washington a lot and walk in the halls and knock on doors. And we've been working with the Department of Labor, and we're very hopeful that soon they'll be recognizing self-employment as a labor market trend, and hopefully we'll be funding some self-employment programs.
So it really
That's
is
an example.
An association of members,
Right.
and you're there to serve like any other. The Realtors Association,
Yeah.
the CPAs Association, and in terms of making the case to the governmental agencies or wherever in order to support the work that is being done by your members.
Yeah, building public awareness, and also bringing in new tools and resources to streamline underwriting, for example, or provide more capital. We were very focused on capital in the last few years, but we also do training of our members so that they can be excellent and they can learn some of the new skills and capacity, to build their capacity to do more.
So where does the capital come from?
Well, actually, we've been really happy to see more capital flowing from the federal government. The CDFI Fund, Community Development Financial Institution Fund, operated by the U.S. Treasury, has been phenomenal. The SBA has increased the micro lending program and has also just recently given the SBA loan guarantee, which is a way to leverage more capital to the nonprofit sector.
Oh, really? That hadn't been there previously?
No, it was only at banks.
Oh.
But banks weren't making the loans, so we helped build a case for we and other groups build the case for providing that loan guarantee to the nonprofit, non-bank lenders.
Oh, very cool.
And we have about 26 lenders that fall into that category in California. The others do the training, business assistance, coaching, incubation type of work.
Got it. All right. This is very cool. So when you look at the individual who wants to start something, who wants to build his own business, what does it cost him or her in order to engage with organizations like Renaissance Center or Working Solutions?
The prices vary for the different programs offered, but probably the most significant fact is that all fees are on a sliding scale. So in the event that a person has a financial need, Renaissance would provide a scholarship. So our classes range in price based on length of class, anywhere from $75 to $750. $750 is a 14-week class that meets twice a week. It's 80 hours of classroom plus individual consulting. It's really a lot of time. For those people who can pay the $750, they do. For everyone who cannot pay that, we provide scholarships. We do believe that it's important for people to pay something. That really puts some skin in the game. And it's a project, you're putting your money where your activities are, and then you're going to follow through. And it costs a lot of money to run programs like ours. So we also need that to help us run our organization.
Where does the funding typically come from for Renaissance Center?
We get it from a host of places. We have funding from the federal government, through the SBA, through the City of San Francisco, the City of East Palo Alto, Redwood City. We also have funding from local banks and foundations and individuals, and then some earned income.
Oh, okay.
So we piece it all together.
There you go.
We have a very diverse network of funding.
So I'm curious as to how each of you found your way into this line of service.
That's a good question.
So who wants
That
to
is a
start
good
with
question. I can go first.
that one? Okay.
Okay.
So I founded Working Solutions back in 1999, and at that time it was a workforce development program where basically we're helping small businesses that wanted to hire individuals from job training programs such as welfare to work programs that were very popular at the time. And over time, what we ended up doing was focusing more on the small business and their lending needs. And at one point, we had a partnership with Wells Fargo Bank where we would find businesses that needed loans of $25,000 up to $250,000, and we would do the loan packaging and put together an application for an SBA product that they had at the time called Community Express. Those loans were specifically for women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, or businesses in low-income census tracts. And what we did was quite similar to what we do now, is helping the business put together their application, submitting it, and once they got funding, we would follow up and continue to provide assistance to that business. Over that time, we had so many businesses call in and say, I don't need 200,000, I need 10,000, or I don't need 100,000, I need 15,000, and I don't qualify for SBA financing. What can I do? Where can I go? And so I started looking into different options, and actually Cameo was so crucial for us at that point because they had a How to Start a Microloan Fund training that I attended that really was a game changer for us and got us into the game. And around that same time, when we were exploring the idea of putting together a program like this, Wells Fargo came to us and said, we would like to make a $500,000 investment in a loan fund so that you can start lending.
Great.
And so everything started coming together at that point, and the rest is history, and we've been lending ever since. So it's worked out
Fantastic.
great, and it's such rewarding work and such inspiring work.
That's
Yeah,
great.
we get to work with entrepreneurs who are like the most inspiring people you could be around. They
sure.
really have the can-do attitude. And gee, if we just put the little bit of money, if the government just put the little bit of money that it costs, like maybe $3,000 per client of our members, this is the average cost around the state. Well, it's really the national cost, about $3,000, $3,200. I mean, just look what we would unleash, this creative energy, this power. You've seen it yourself and some of the clients that you've had, and it's just, for us, it's what makes us excited about doing this work. I have to say, similar to Emily, I started in, I was on the board, actually, and it was through the Renaissance Center that I started, but before that, I worked in the community, and I saw what happened when people owned their own property and their own land, and thought, well, what would happen if people owned their own business? So this was in the late 80s, and it was just starting, this whole issue of entrepreneurship and micro enterprise was just starting out. And so I took a job, it was actually at the Renaissance Center, before I knew Sharon though. And so we sort of created it from scratch, just figured out, would this work? Could you help people who didn't have access to capital but had all that moxie to actually start and grow a business? And 2,000 students later, and you know, terrific success stories and lots of jobs created. We always, and Cameo does this now, we do an annual survey of the impacts, economic impacts, because otherwise, why do it?
Right. And Sharon, how did you get involved?
Well, my first job at age 6 was in small business. I worked for my father, and I would stuff and fold his invoices and statements. He used to send out statements. I would get 50 cents for invoices and statements, and just 25 cents if they were just the bills. But I took this all very seriously. I stuffed, fold, sealed, and got my big payment, and then went out for ice cream.
There you go.
So I thought this was the greatest job ever. My older brother and sister would laugh at me because it would take probably 2 or 3 hours for me to do all my stuff and folding. So I moved on from there, and eventually I worked a number of jobs in nonprofit. I owned a wholesale travel company. I didn't have the benefit of Renaissance or Working Solutions at that time, and business didn't really work out. And then I was working internationally, doing a number of development projects, including economic development and microcredit. I then came to Renaissance and learned everything I know from Claudia. And I really was so interested in the small business. I grew up in this small business family, so it was in my DNA. I really knew it and felt like, well, that's how people lived and that's how people made money. And then when I was working internationally, I was really interested in seeing, well, how would this work? One of the huge benefits of entrepreneurship in the Bay Area and really everywhere in the United States is that these lower income people can really access larger networks. So entrepreneurship is a way to become economically self-sufficient. It is a way that you can have a product, and that product can create to larger economies, and you could really grow that business.
Fantastic. We have about 2 minutes left in the show right now, so we're going to kind of wind this down, but I want to let the audience know that these three ladies are going to be with us again for the next episode of Reference Point, and we're going to dig into some of this in a little bit more detail. By the way, if you have any questions for Sharon, Claudia, or Emily, you can email those questions to me at info@referencepointtv.com, and I'll make sure it gets to the right person so that they can answer those questions. What I want to do when we get into the next phase of the discussion here is I want to talk more about what's going on in the business community right now, what you three ladies are seeing in the economy in California, specifically up here in Northern California where we live, and how you see the leverage that micro business can have to try to help us right our economic ship, which is sort of like, on the rocks right now. So that's what we're going to talk about when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for the next episode of Reference Point because we're going to go into this in more detail. I appreciate your being there. And again, remember, you can send me queries at info@referencepointtv.com. We'll see you next time at Reference Point.